Okay, friends and neighbors, we're back with Princess, the D69U, which has been sitting here for about 30 years, and nobody knows whether it worked when it was parked or it was dragged here. Anyway, yesterday we had to stop because the carburetor wouldn't take a load. Had to have an almost full choke in order for it to even run right. So we took the carburetor off, cleaned it all out again, because I kidded it earlier, and put it back on there, and the next thing that happened was a float valve stuck open, and it poured gas down through the intake manifold and flowed right down to the cylinder on the right side of the tractor, because it's on a little bit of a slope here. So we were going to pull the carburetor off and check it again and put it on a tester I got, and it's not leaking this morning. We haven't tried to start the engine yet, but we have checked. And that carburetor is drier than a popcorn fart on the 4th of July, and it's had gas in it for the last 20 minutes. And there's plenty in the tank because we sticked it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to start this fucker again. And the nice thing about it is the water we put in yesterday is still there. How about that shit? Nothing leaked out. Montana water is pretty strange, you know. It has a tendency to drain itself every spring. And, you know, it's not necessarily limited to Montana, but that's what water does around here. And so we were kind of shocked and amazed that this old girl actually held water all night without a drip. The other thing we're thinking about is, well, there was no drains open, no block drain, no radiator drain, they were all closed up. So it may have been parked with good antifreeze in it, because we did find some good antifreeze when we changed the head gaskets on the starting engine. So now we've got the gas turned on, we got the magneto hooked up, and we're going to give this thing a few pulls and see if the Lord is with us. Okay, so we got two things that might happen. Number one, it might start and not take a load like yesterday.
Your oil pressure line is open.
Oh, fuck. I have to connect the oil pressure gauge. You guys hang loose for a while. Okay, we have put the hood in a position and strapped it down to the point I can reach those injectors. The book just says bleed them at the pump. Well, it doesn't say a fucking thing about bleeding them at the injectors. Nozzles, I'm sorry, Mr. Caterpillar. Fuel nozzles. So this starting engine is hotter than Billy be damned. And I don't know if it's going to want to run or not. You know, sometimes when you get a gas engine hot, it gets pretty goddamn hard to deal with. So, right now, I'm going to get this starting engine going again. I'm going to get this thing turning over with the compression release on, crack all these injectors until I get fuel to them, and then I'm going to hit the compression release, flip it off, and see if this thing will start pumping fuel. First, I'm going to pull it with no choke. left it out in the rain. They gave up on it. Okay, we had forgotten to hook up the oil pressure gauge, which was probably made a mess in the neighborhood if the diesel starts. But we have to watch the oil pressure anyway while we're cranking it to make sure we've got oil pressure before we release the compression release. We're also in the process, we're going to have to get that small crescent wrench. I'm going to need that to bleed the filters. We're going to have to bleed the fuel system, most likely, because it was completely empty. And if they ran it completely empty, drove it till it stopped, that means the fuel pump and the injectors are all dry. So I'm going to give it some choke right now. Pull this thing through.
Small crescent right here.
And I'm going to pull the choke part way off. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to bleed the injectors, and I can't get to them with the hood on there. So that's easy. We can just, get it off, because I have to have it running in order to bleed the injectors, and there's no way I can get a wrench in there without getting the hood off. So we've got fuel through the filter, we got fuel through the injection pump, but we've got air in the injection lines that go to, they call them fuel nozzles. They're not actually injectors, they are fuel nozzles, because the pressure is created at the pump. So we're going to remove the hood, and then we're going to fire this thing up again, and we're going to bleed those injectors at the fittings. So don't go away mad. We'll be back shortly. Okay, we have put the hood in a position and strapped it down to the point I can reach those injectors. The book just says bleed them at the pump. Well, it doesn't say a fucking thing about bleeding them at the injectors. Nozzles, I'm sorry, Mr. Caterpillar. Fuel nozzles. So this starting engine is hotter than Billy be damned. And I don't know if it's going to want to run or not. You know, sometimes when you get a gas engine hot, it gets pretty goddamn hard to deal with. So, right now, I'm going to get this starting engine going again. I'm going to get this thing turning over with the compression release on. Crack all these injectors until I get fuel to them, and then I'm going to hit the compression release, flip it off, and see if the thing will start pumping fuel. First, I'm going to pull it with no choke.